Yeah, okay. Seems fair to me.
Are you fucking joking me? They nerfed her attack speed? What do you mean we lost 10 AD per rank on our ultimate?
This is
literally
fucking ludicrous. Like, that's so
Everybody panic! Oh dear God, we're gonna die! I don't know what. So I am aware of the fact that everybody is currently panicking and losing their absolute mind about these nerfs and thinking it's the worst thing that's ever happened. So in order to give you guys maybe a little bit of perspective, maybe a little bit of thinking outside of your own lens as just a Vayne player, let's look at how she fit into the overall dichotomy of the game and how she was interacting with the other champions. Alright, so first of all, this is her current win rate. 50.7%, so a little bit over 50%, which is ideally where every champion should be, right? You should have a 50-50 chance of winning based on how well you play and how well you do, meaning that everything is fine, right? So before anyone tells me that I'm wrong, look at the win rate. Everything is fine. Second of all, she is right in the middle of the pack of win rate, just average, with 50%, of course she would be. But look at this. Placement changed this patch. Down 8 places. For those of you that don't know, before this patch happened, Vayne had a 55% win rate and was the #1 win rate ADC in the entire game. Just let that sink in for a moment. Vayne, one of the most difficult champions to play, or should have been one of the most difficult champions to play, was winning 55% of her games, despite mastery, despite how good people were, despite how many people were playing her. Didn't matter, she was still able to keep a solid win rate. That's overpowered. But maybe we should talk about for a little bit why she was overpowered. I think there are 3 main things that people need to think about in order to understand these nerfs and why they were very appropriate. Number 1, laning phase got a lot easier. When was the last time you saw Lucian? When was the last time you saw Jhin? That's right, you don't see them that often. These traditional lane counters to Vayne are not really present in the meta right now. And I love Riot's little cheeky phrasing here. Rather than hit her laning phase and put more pressure on her opponents in the bot lane, see, they can't fucking do that because nobody can actually pressure her in lane right now because you guys have fucked up these lane bully champions so badly they're completely unviable and unpickable. Just want to throw that out there for a little bit. Maybe you could have just buffed Lucian and buffed Jhin instead, huh? That was a possibility as well. Just throwing that out there. Just saying. Because I think we're all real sick of seeing the same 4 champions in bot lane every single game. Riot. Thanks. And those don't exist right now. Just not a thing. Yeah, Draven is kind of a thing, but I mean, lol, people trying to play Draven after the 15-minute mark. Number 2 thing we need to talk about, Relic Shield. Relic Shield was disgustingly good on Vayne. It made her super tanky, it gave her a giant shield late game. If you gave her a Lulu or a Janna, she was literally unkillable and would 1v9 the entire game. And it didn't matter how badly she played because she had like 2,000 health, massive shields, tons of lifesteal with the overheal build. It was disgusting. Number 3. Fleet Footwork, as they mentioned in this. They buffed Fleet Footwork. That meant that you could actually pick Fleet Footwork. And when you could pick Fleet Footwork in lane, you were able to sustain more, meaning that the already shitty counters to Vayne in these really shitty lane bullies that exist in the meta right now were even more nullified. It was pretty much completely irrelevant to pick anyone whose plan was to poke you out in lane, because you had so much healing. Like, Vayne Nami at that point in time was just any aggro lane would just lose. There was just nothing you could do. It's with overheal, with summon Airy, with Fleet Footwork, with everything in between. You just, unless you were terrible, there was no way you were going to die in that laning phase. That's unacceptable. That's not okay. There needs to be ways to shut down late game hyper carries in the game in laning phase. Now, I'm not advocating for going back to the time to where it was literally pointless to ever pick anything that scaled because lane bullies were so disgustingly overpowered and, one Jhin auto attack chunked you to half health. Those were bad times too. But right now, again, trying to compete with a hyper carry in lane is just almost pointless. And so that's why these nerfs were okay. Attack speed nerf. I totally agree with the final hour change. Let me just break this down a little bit. This was completely healthy. This needed to happen. Because late game, you were killing enemies in 2 auto attacks. Not okay. You should need at least, like, 3, 4. And, like, I'm not even being sarcastic when I say that, because the difference between 2 auto attacks and 3 auto attacks is huge. Because if you think about it, stealth tumble auto late game, chunks of carry, to a quarter health, like it was, which was, again, ridiculous. And then after that, you would do 1 more auto and they were dead, right? But this way, if you need that 3rd auto attack, they actually have time to respond, right? The 2nd auto is pretty much, you can't do anything about it because you're coming out of stealth. 3rd auto, however, is like they can CC you, the person can flash away, all this other things or whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot more fair to play against, especially if you need like 4 or 5 to kill somebody, which is about what you need right now, late game, if you're kind of fed. So that's totally fair. I'm completely okay with that. The attack speed growth stat, I'm not going to lie, I think that is a bit of an overreaction. I think this is a tiny bit of an over nerf, not a huge one, right? It's 0.7% scaling on the attack speed nerf. I think they didn't need to do this because they got Relic Shield out of the meta, because they nerfed the healing that it did, in case you didn't know. So Overheal, Relic Shield, Vayne is no longer part of the meta anymore, and since you don't build any lifesteal or anything like that on Vayne, because you go double crit early game, there's almost no point in picking up Overheal, especially because, like, it doesn't synergize with anything in your kit. So they really didn't have to worry about her being as strong as before, because it was kind of like this, also tanks were in the meta, so like this crescendo of everything that Vayne had ever wanted in the entire world came together, and it was, ridiculous, right? So now she's toned down a little bit. Attack speed nerf, it's really not that bad. I think if they would have taken off maybe, like, 0.3 attack speed, if it went down from, like, 4 to 3.7, I think that would have been a little bit better, honestly. Maybe reduce the base damage on silver bolts just by like 5 or something like that, and then like not done the full 0.7 attack speed nerf. That would have been a little better. But overall, this is fine. This is fair. Her win rate's okay. She's still a very good, very viable champion. She's just fair at this point in time. I've still been doing very well with her in solo queue. She still feels fine to me. She still feels good. Don't drop the champion. Everything is totally fine. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video. I do appreciate it. If you're watching this when it was just uploaded, I am streaming right now. So come over, hang out, and we're going to have a good time together and do some solo queue. See if I can not get any boosted top laners on my team, because holy shit, that's been a problem recently. Anyway, guys, good talking with y'all. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks a lot for watching, and take it easy.
The world forgetting by the world forgot.